what the club calls the lead captain. So I teach all the other captains. So the training that you're getting from them is the same that you would get from me, right? So that we're all training everybody exactly the same across the board. One of the things that we want to make sure that everybody understands is the lake, right? There's a lot of, this is a different lake. Everybody thinks about lakes as shallow on the sides and deep in the middle, right? And not all lakes are like that. A lot of lakes have sandbars and different obstacles. And so knowing how to read a chart is a critical part of boating, not just here on Lake St. Clair, but really everywhere. So knowing where you're in safe water, where you're in deep water, where you're in shallow water, where there are obstacles, and how to keep the boat and your crew safe. Because as the captain, you're responsible for not only yourself, but the boat and everybody on board, what I refer to as your crew. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go over some of the obstacles. I'm going to go over some of the things that you need to be careful of. But most importantly, I want you to walk away from this webinar understanding how to read a chart. Okay, and what those numbers on the chart are telling you. So that's going to be our key thing. We're probably going to go about 45 minutes. I know we started a little bit late, so thanks for hanging in there. We had a little technical difficulty, but everything seems to be fine now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little review on some basic boating, just basic boating stuff that everybody should know. The problem is that not everybody knows this. So you can go buy a boat tomorrow with just a driver's license. Okay, you could go buy a big boat tomorrow with just a driver's license. You're not required to take any classes. Our members actually have more training than most people out on the water, because not only do you need to do the online boating class, right, the NASBLA, but you also have to spend 3 hours hands-on with a captain. So basically, if the online class is 3 hours, and you spend 3 hours with a captain, you have 6 hours of training. That's a lot more than most people out there owning their own private boats. So when people say anything in front of me, and most people don't, but if they say anything to me about our members not knowing what they're doing, I always bring that up to them, that our members have more training than most, and they're required. It's required training. It's not optional, right? Everybody has to have the same amount of training. So you guys all have more training than most people. You should be proud of that. All right, just a quick review. Anybody on your right has the right of way. So everybody is on the right is right. So you can see on this side, on the right-hand side is green. Okay, if they're coming up from behind you, which is that white area on the stern of the boat, okay, the behind you, that is completely different. That's what we call overtaking. And when somebody is overtaking you, you are the stand-on boat. So you stay your speeding course and they go around you. They're the ones that have to give way. But if anybody is on your right-hand side, you give way. Give way means you stop or you change course, you avoid, and you let them go. Okay, anybody on your, I'm sorry, on your right, yeah, on your right is right. Anybody on your left-hand side, if it was dark out, now we can't run the boats at night, but if it was dark, they would see your red light. Red means stop for them. So then they have to stop and they change their course. But again, going back to the part I was talking about with the training, not everybody receives the same amount of training. So some people don't know that, right? Some people just think because their boat's bigger than yours that they have the right of way. And that's not true, right? So if they're on your left-hand side, they're supposed to give way. But we as a club, our rule is we always default to giving way. Right. And actually, it's not even just really a club rule. It's just a smart rule. Right. Because if I have a boat on my left hand side and they don't give way, I will eventually change course and give way. Right. I'm not going to play chicken with them. Right. So I'm always going to give way. I'm always going to hesitate on being more cautious than aggressive. So anybody on your left should give way. Anybody on your right, you give way. Right. Slow down, change course. Make sure it's obvious too. When you change course, they're going to be looking at your bow. So make sure that if you turn, you don't make a lot of little turns. You make one big turn so they see the side of your boat, so they know, you know, you're changing course. All right. If you have two boats coming toward each other head on, each go to the right, just like a car. So you each would go to your right, you avoid collision. All right. Another quick one on navigational buoys, right? White buoys, if you see a white buoy, they're always informational. They're always telling you something. And so a white buoy will say no wake. It'll be like rocks or hazards, or this is the swim area only. They're always informational. Red and green buoys are always navigational. We're telling you which way you should go. Okay, the red buoys, there's a saying in the boating community, right, red, return. When you are returning from the sea, when you're going from out in the ocean or out in the lake into a marina, you are always returning from the sea. You're going to keep the red buoys on your right-hand side. Okay, another way in our area, see, if we lived anywhere else, we could say if we were going from a big body of water to a smaller body of water, we're returning from the sea. But that doesn't work for us because when we're going from Lake St. Clair, a big body of water, into the Detroit River, which is a smaller body of water, we are not returning from the sea. We're going back to the sea. How do I know we're going back to the sea? Because we're going with the current. And the current always runs to the sea in the Great Lakes. Okay. So the current's always running to the sea. If you're going against the current, you are returning from the sea. If you're going with the current, you're going back with the sea. Okay. Important stuff to remember. All right, so let's talk about the predicted depth of the lake for this year. And I know there's a lot of talk about, well, this dam's flooded and this place is flooded and there's, record snow up north and all these things. All these things do affect the lake. But the Army Corps of Engineers is pretty dead on most years when they make their predictions. And their predictions are that we're going to be about 2 to 4 inches lower than what we were last year. That's not a lot in the overall scheme of things. It really shouldn't affect most of us with our boats on hoists or canals or, different areas. And keep in mind that it's always cyclical. The lake is always changing. It always has been. We had record high in 2020 when a lot of people got into boating because gas prices were low and interest rates were low. So a lot of people got into boating in 2020 when we had historically record highs. And it's been going down since then. Now it'll go back up, it'll go down, it could go down even further. I've been out on this lake before, I think I want to say it was somewhere around 2012, 13 or 14, one of those years where we had record low.
Yeah.
Right?
You didn't well, you have beach.
Yeah, some of the canals didn't have any water on them, right? In them. So yeah, when we have record low, it really affects a lot of people. I'm on a really good canal, that's really deep, and I was having a little trouble last year toward the end of the year getting my boat off the hoist. So keep in mind that early in the spring, like right now, it's gonna be low. And then our peak high is gonna be really June and July, because it's gonna be based on the snow melt from up north, and then the amount of rain that we have in the spring. And then it's gonna start going down again in August. So if you went somewhere last year, like along the shoreline, along the Grosse Points or over at Arvan Bay, or even Strawberry Island, Bare Naked, like if you went somewhere before, you need to be careful, make sure that you can go in that same area again, right? Follow your depth sounders. I always tell everybody, don't go in anything less than waist deep water. Right, because that way you have plenty of room for the boat to float around, and then also trim up the motor so that it's not, hanging straight down and hitting anything. Get out of the boat, walk around, make sure that there aren't any big rocks or anything that the boat could swing around into that you don't see. Right, so anyway, so right now they're predicting it's about 2 to 4 inches. That is still, by the way, 12 to 16 or 6 inches over what we call chart datum, which the chart datum is what the numbers are on the chart. Okay, so chart datum is like your low mean, right? Your average low. So let's talk about the chart. So the most important thing to know about a chart, the difference between a chart and a map are the numbers on the chart. So the chart shows us all these numbers that are on the chart. They represent the depth of the water in that spot. The chart is also color coded. So you have white is the deepest part of the lake. Okay, and it's all relative to the lake, kind of like skiing where it's relative to the hill when you're downhill skiing, right? So it's relative to the lake. So on our lake, the white part is the shipping channel that runs right through the middle of the lake. And then also all of our channels, our north, middle, and south channel are the deepest part of our lake. Then you have the light blue areas, which are in between 5 to 15 feet. And then the dark blue, the darkest blue is the shallowest areas. It's kind of counterintuitive. You think the dark blue should be the deepest, but it's not. It's the shallowest. And then also we have green, which is our marshy lands, and then yellow, which is land. Okay. So if you're looking at a GPS or you're looking at a chart and you're heading towards something yellow, right? It's not good. Okay, or dark blue. Okay, so again, Lake St. Clair is gonna be 2 to 4 inches. Lower in the same month. So in June and July, when it's high, it's gonna be still 2 to 4 inches lower. And in August, when it starts evaporating again, right, and it starts going down, it's gonna be lower in those months. And you can check out, go to the Army Corps of Engineers, check it out. I even went online and did some AI and was like, what's the prediction? And it came up with the same thing that the Army Corps Engineers is saying. So for those of you who don't have it, this is just a quick little, I don't make any money from Navionics. I just really like the app. I use it myself. It's $50 for the year. It will do automatic routes. It will do, it has the actual chart, like it shows your boat in the chart moving. It'll show you all the hazards. You can mark your own hazards. You can mark your own favorite anchoring spots. You can mark your own, like all your favorite restaurants that you like to go to. You can, I think the next slide we're going to show that you can set up a boat, like a generic Freedom Boat Club boat, and it'll do an automatic route. And I was just talking to Taylor that I want to do we have a recording that you can ask for where I did a Navionics class, like just on the basic, like here's how you set up a boat, and here's how you do an automatic route, and here's how you mark different things. But I also want to do a more advanced class on really using it at more advanced, and then also for tides. Right, so those people who are going to travel to places where we have tides and have to worry about tides, there's a whole really cool feature that Navionics has about tides. So you should never get the boat stuck, right? Because you'll know when the tide's going in and out. So we may have that. Watch for that. Okay, so on the Navionics, if you go into, for those of you who have it on your phone, if you go into menu, you touch on your name, where it says name there, it's like your name, touch on your name, and then you go into boat setup, right? It wants you to set up a boat. Like I have my boat on there, which is a 32-foot and a 10.5-foot beam, but you could just set it up for a generic Freedom Boat Club boat, like a 30-foot or a 25-foot with a 8-foot beam. And then I always tell everybody, make sure you have a 3-foot draft. Okay, because then you don't have to worry, like you've got plenty built in there. And then what happens is if you want to go, let's say from like St. Clair Shores over to Cabana Blue, all you do once you have the boat set up, you just touch on a spot outside of the marina in front of St. Clair Shores. It makes like this pink dot. And then you go and you touch on the other spot in front of the marina at Cabana Blue, and it will do an automatic route, and it'll route you around anything that's less than 3 foot of water. Right, so it'll just route you around everything, and as long as you stay on that route, you're not going to go near anything that's going to potentially beach the boat or get you close to anything that's going to hurt the props. Okay, and don't forget that we have a peace of mind plan. So those of you who are listening or who are here, if you don't have the peace of mind plan, you know, right now you're sitting at like a $2,500 deductible. That's like one prop, like you need one prop, it's about that much, right? So this, if you buy that plan, and I think it's a default plan, you have to opt out of it. So I think everybody's gonna get it. It takes your deductible from a minimum of 2,500 down to zero. So it's a good idea. Chances are, I mean, even me as an experienced boater, you know, I have really good insurance on my boat because I know sometimes things are out of my control. Right? And you're gonna hit something by accident, something's gonna be under the water that isn't supposed to be there. Last year I hit a racing buoy out it's not supposed to be there. It's not marked on the chart. I hit it dead on. Like I couldn't do that again if I tried, right? So, I mean, there's things out there that are just gonna happen. And I'm experienced, you know, boater, so it doesn't really matter. It's gonna happen.
How much is-
It's, I wanna say I mean, just general, don't quote me. I think for 2 members, right, like you and your spouse, it's, somewhere around $800. If it's just a single membership, I think it's 5. Is it 5? Yeah, it's 5 or 6, somewhere around there. Well worth it, well worth it. Just bring that deductible down to nothing, you know, because chances are high, especially if you're new, right? Chances are high, really high. Okay, so, I did automatic routing. All right, so talking about not automatic routing, right? When you're out on Lake St. Clair, you always want to stay in the channels. One of the things you never want to do is cut corners on the channels. Because I can tell you most of the channels out here have obstacles, right? They're shallow, they're sandbars, and they also have like sunken barges. Right? A lot of them have sunken barges. You don't want to hit that with the lower end unit because the lower end unit comes right off. That's thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Also, we now, thanks to Steve, who owns the franchise, Freedom Boat Club here in Lake St. Clair, he's worked really hard with the Coast Guard to get the firecracker marked. It is now marked, but we have the firecracker out there, which is what this slide is showing. The firecracker is out on, it's right where the Old South Channel and the shipping channel meet. And you can't see, this year you might be able to see it, but you can't normally see it. It's a rock concrete wall, seawall,
Oh,
that's just underneath the water by about a half a foot, right? And if you don't know it's there, people think they can just cut right across. And if you look at the chart, there's no reason to cut across there. It's only 3-4 feet deep to cut across. You aren't really saving that much time, not going around the buoy. But people cut across there. We used to have like 40 boats a year hit that. And since they got it marked now, I think first year we only had 4 boats hit it since they marked it. But it's a very dangerous thing. Clearly cost boaters a lot of money, right, for hitting it, because it'll rip the lower end unit right off the boat. Right, and the boat is out of commission. So make sure that you know about the firecracker. And you can see it when you zoom in on your navionics, you could see a yellow little strip, right? Yellow is land. It's a yellow little strip that shows up. It's clearly marked on the chart, which is why the Coast Guard didn't want to mark it at first, right? But it's a hazard. So let's see. Also, you can see on this is showing the Muscatine and the middle channel. You can see on the sides, on the outside of the middle channel is fine. It's white, right? It's really deep in the middle channel. It's naturally deep. But on the outsides of the channel, it's only 1 foot deep. So if you go outside that channel, you're going to run aground. So you have to stay in the channel. Even in between buoys, you have to stay in the channel. So make sure that you have a GPS at the helm, right? And that you're watching it and that you're staying in the channel. That's one of the things I like about the navionics, because on my phone, I can zoom just with my fingertips in and out real fast. And I don't have to hit the plus button, right? To like zoom in and wait till it refreshes. But you can see outside the channel, it's only 1 foot on each side. Going into Little Muscatine, I think a lot of our little boats can get in there, but I think the majority of the bigger boats are probably gonna start moving out to the bigger part of Muscatine. Where everybody used to be anyway years ago. It's only been since like, I don't know, 2019, 2018 that they've been back in Little Muscatine. I mean, people who are new to boating from that time forward think that that's where we always were, but we were always before out in Big Muscatine. So I think a lot of the boats will be moving back out. All right. In the channels, there are some areas there's different no wake rules. Okay. And this chart actually shows those. There's a couple websites where you can find this chart, and I have them listed there. There's jobbycrew.com, the ABYA, which stands for the Anchor Bay Yachting Association. They have this chart on their website, and then lakestclairguide.com. Now, what this shows is the 400 foot rule, and where it applies. So the purple is where the 400 foot rule applies. The blue is where it's no wake for vessels larger than 26 foot. And then the red is no wake for everybody. Now, the 400 foot rule can get kind of complicated. What I like to do for all of our members is just really super simplify it. So we don't have any boats that are over 26 feet, right? And if we do, maybe there's one, maybe two. All of our boats are under 26 feet. So what this rule, if you think about it this way, this rule is about protecting the wetlands. And if you look around the channel, there's a lot of wetlands, especially around the middle channel. And so what they want is they don't want you throwing a wake out anywhere within 200 feet of the wetlands. All right. So if the channel is 400 feet wide and you're in the middle, right, you're 200 feet on each side, you're okay if you're under 26 feet. But if you're over toward the edge and you're closer to 200 feet to the wetlands, you have to go slow. Okay. And so basically if the entire channel narrows to 200 feet across, everybody goes slow. Okay. And then there's just some areas where it's just, you go slow. And those are marked. So like where you see over here by Strawberry Island off the North Channel, that area where it's red up there, that is marked. It's clearly marked. There's no wake buoys there. But these other ones don't have no wake buoys. So you just have to know the rule. Now, what I always do is I have a copy of this chart with this color code that I keep at my helm. And it got me out of a ticket one time, right? So I got pulled over on the middle channel and I said to the sheriff that I was just pulling this chart out and looking at it and trying to figure out where that no wake started, where that no wake zone started. And they asked me where I got this. And I told them where I got it, offline, and that I kept it at the helm. And they said, I like this chart. Okay, just go and be careful, right? So it got me out of a ticket. So have this chart with you, maybe have it in your go bag, right? If you have a go bag or things that you always take with you to the boat. So have it with you, and then you can always refer to it. Or if you have the navionics, you can mark the different areas with a marker saying that you're entering into the no wake zone.
Well, where did you say you got this chart again? I know there's.
So there's 3 websites. There's jobbycrew.com. There's ABYA. It's probably abya.org, I think. But if you just type in ABYA or Anchor Bay Yachting Association, and then lakestclairguide.com. And it explains the 200 foot rule. But if you just think about it, it's about protecting the wetlands and the animals that live in the wetlands. You just got to stay 200 feet away from the wetlands, right? And then it makes it easy to remember. Okay. All right, Harbor Club in Algonac, be careful. There's sunken pilings there everywhere. So when you see these little, they're like little dotted circles. Okay, little dotted circles on a chart are sunken pilings or an obstruction or a hazard. There's something, right? The ones that look like little footballs, right? Looks like a little football. It's got like the line in the three, perpendicular lines. Those are like sunken barges or sunken wrecks or something. Something is there. It's a bigger hazard, right, than just a piling. So you want to watch for those. When you come out of Harbor Club, that channel, the coming out is really shallow. And you got to watch for those sunken pilings. They're all over the place there because those docks have been rebuilt and rebuilt and rebuilt so many times. All right, don't cut corners. This is showing the middle channel. We're the middle channel at the tip of Dickerson Island. The middle channel meets the north channel, right? You don't always go out to the buoy and go around. Don't cut the corner there because it's really shallow. It's only, what does it say? Like, it goes down to probably like less than a foot there. So don't cut the corner. I always tell everybody, I know I do it. I go all the way out to the buoy and I turn and I come back. And I see other people cutting through. And people who are on my boat are like, how come they can cut through? I'm like, I can cut through too, but I just don't want to because I would like to use my boat all season, right? If I hit something, my boat's out of commission. It could be out of commission for the rest of the season. And spend a lot of money, to have a boat, and I don't want it sitting on dry dock for half the season. So I'm way more careful. Up on this other slide over here is showing like up on the north side of Strawberry Island, where it's really, really shallow. I have the big circle there. Approach, if you go into Strawberry Island, approach very slowly, right? Very carefully, and trim up the motor as you're getting closer, right? Make sure you don't trim it all the way up so it's out of the water, because you won't have steering capability, but also you're going to overheat the motor, right? Because it has to suck up the water. But approach it slowly, and then you can always walk it in a little bit more, but stay in waist deep water. That's the safest thing for all the boats. Okay, the Sni Boreala New Baltimore cut, that was getting a little dicey last year, but some of our boats could go through it. So when you do, be careful, stay in the channel. You can see it's clearly marked where there's deeper water versus where it's more shallow. Up here, this is where I'm pointing to, right up here. Deep, where it's deep here, but it's shallow here and shallow there. This is by Bare Naked Bay. Okay, so you want to be careful in there. There's if you go down the off the north channel is the Sni, and you could go what they call the New Baltimore cut. And they call it the New Baltimore cut because you're right across from New Baltimore, and you can see that big flag. And if you head straight at that flag, you're going to stay in this deep area, right? In our boats, we need 3 feet. If it's 4 feet deep, you can probably get through there, but you have to be up on plane, right? But be careful. Okay? It's kind of like a more advanced maneuver for not. I wouldn't send a beginner there, right? So anyway, and then again, if you're going into Bare Naked Bay, always stay in waist deep water. Munchies Bay, Cabana Blue, again, I know that Cabana Blue marked the pilings and the front of their building. Are you guys familiar with Cabana Blue? Okay, so Cabana Blue is a restaurant over in Anchor Bay, what they call Munchies, right? The little, actually, the name of the bay is Bouvier Bay. They call it Munchies because there used to be, I think, a gas stock party store or something there, right? And so, and it was called Munchies, so that's why they call it Munchie Bay. Cabana Blue is there. I never dock my boat in the front, in the bay part. I always go through the canal and dock my boat behind the restaurant.
Go down the road there and.
Yeah. What I'm saying here is, so if this is Cabana Blue, I think Cabana Blue's right. No, it's right here, right?
Right.
And so see out in front, all those pilings?
Yeah.
Right?
So you go, where you should go is to the.
Where I go is I go
Right
in
right
here
there,
and I
okay.
dock back
Yeah.
behind the restaurant. Right? And it does get a little shallow going through the canal here, but I don't go anywhere near the front of it. Now, I know they do have docks there. and I have seen, like pontoon boats and some smaller boats. Just be aware that there's islands there. If you have the GPS, if you have the navionics in your hand and you're zooming in and you're looking at it and you're staying away from them, you'll be fine. But if you don't want to run into them. I understand that they're marked now, but they take those markings out every winter. Right, so I don't know if you're out there, real early in the season, if they're gonna be marked or not. Okay,
Was that where that helicopter, flipped?
yeah, I think it is over
Yeah,
there,
because if I
yeah,
remember, that was lucky that nobody.
yeah, nobody got hurt, right?
Nobody got hurt, yeah.
Yeah, I think that is where that happened. On the rocks also is over in that area, again, it's called on the rocks for a reason. Be careful, zoom in your GPS if you're going there. I mean, I haven't even taken my boat there. Their food is really good, but I'm not good enough to wreck a prop. So, I haven't even taken my boat to on the rocks. If you've gone there by car, the food is delicious. So Munchies Bay, like, be careful, there's some shallow spots, but you should be fine. And then Island Grill, you wanna follow the channel. Follow the channel when you're going into Island Grill, you wanna come in, follow the channels, and even in the channel, in the deeper part, there are some, pilings in there, so you wanna go around those and go into Cabana Blue. Now, Cabana Blue was, or not Cabana Blue, Island Grill was shallow before. So, maybe, Google or in our band app, everybody should get on band app, right? And that's where you can actually talk to other members and say, hey, has anybody been to Cabana Blue yet? Is it shallow? Is there anything that I should worry about? Or have you been to Island Grill? I know it's shallow to get in there. Is there anything that I should worry about? And that's where you all can talk to each other about it.
How often, or is it posted when they, the Army Corps has come through, or is there a schedule when they come through, or they do as needed for dredging?
Oh, the Army Corps doesn't usually dredge anything. No, it's the personal owners that have to dredge.
Oh, when it's there, I thought, Army Corps doesn't do, some of that.
Not that I'm aware of, usually, no, it's usually like whoever lives in this area will dredge their own.
Oh, they do their own, for the,
Yeah.
for the marinas, but I mean, once you get out in that area, isn't that part of the Army Corps responsibility?
I've never heard of it. I mean, the only thing that I know the Army Corps will ever dredge is our shipping channel. Yeah, the shipping channel, because that's international commerce, right? So, but that's the only thing I've ever seen, any dredging like that being done. Okay, let's see, Fairhaven Church, and if you're kind of following along, I'm kind of going counterclockwise around the lake. Right, so Fairhaven Church, again, there's submerged piers. I know in New Baltimore, they're working on building a marina there. And once they get that marina in there, it's gonna be really nice. I'm sure they'll have safe, channels for us to follow to get in there. I think they're a couple of years away. And I think one of our captains is the Parks and Rec director there. So I think he was saying that they need a few million. So if anybody knows anybody who has a few million, New Baltimore's looking for it. But anyway, be careful in Fairhaven by Church. Again, this is a crazy amount of sunken pilings there, and you can tell that there were docks there at one point. So just stay away from anything on a chart that looks like that. McRae Harbor, Poor Man's Beach. There is there's a big rock out there on the entryway in. It's near the channel, and somebody goes out there, swims out there and marks it every year. I know we did it one year, we marked it, and then now I think somebody built like a PVC kind of light. It even has a light, but there's a big rock out there that you have to be careful of when you're going in. But going in and out of the channels, stay in the channels. That's the most important message I can tell you is if you're in the channels, you're safe. Now, things can get into the channel, like big logs and, sometimes the ice will move rocks and things like that. So early in the season, you have to be more careful, but usually things like that will get moved out of the channel or the channel will get moved, right? Sometimes you see the channel moves, right? It's different than what it was on the GPS. Follow the actual channel markers that are out there. Okay? Because they know. All right, the Clinton River, going in and out that cut on the Clinton River, be careful because that's really shallow there. So I'm talking about the cut, that's right across from the sheriff station, right across from the DNR ramps. There's a cut. And it's pretty shallow in there. It gets 3 feet and early in the season and late in the season. So our boats can go through there, but you have to be careful, stay in the middle.
Yeah.
Right, stay away from the rocks.
Yeah.
Because rocks are always like icebergs, right? Like what you see on the top is that's much wider at the bottom. So you want to stay away from those and stay away from the edges because that's where the sandbars tend to form, right? On the corners. So you want to stay right in the middle and go through. If you go straight out of the Clinton River, you're safe, you're good. Just stay in the channel. Out in front of Metro Beach, now a lot of people don't know this, because if they don't know how to read a chart, they don't see this. But there's an arrow or a triangle, upside down triangle shape, right here at the tip of Metro Beach. And it's pretty far out there. It's probably about a quarter of a mile out. And when I have people on my boat, even people who are boaters, right? Like, let's say they own a pontoon. They're like, Karyn, why do you go so far out? Right? Like, I always just cut right across here. Right? I go far out because even when the water's high, right? I don't like to cheat the corner. Plus, I know there's rocks in here because I've had friends of mine who've hit them. Right? So there's rocks in that area. And then also, I'm just like, good habits are good habits, right? You wake up every day, you brush your teeth, right? You just build those good habits. I always stay away from where it's shallow, even if the water's high.
And the darker the blue, the shallower the water.
Yes, the darker the blue, the shallower the water. It's counterintuitive,
Yeah,
right? But the dark blue is the shallowest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you come out of Metro Beach, there's also a lot of rocks. You want to go straight out, stay in their channel. That's an example of a channel that moves a lot, right? So last year it was like dead on with the GPS, and now this year might not. Move bottom moves. Because it's on a peninsula, so it changes. Right? But also when you go to Metro Beach, right, you got to be careful because it gets really shallow. So I always go out and then turn, make a sharp turn and go straight in. Right? Don't like kind of come up alongside. And if you're going through, like if you're going to cut through the middle of the channel at, like, let's say the Clinton River, remember that the people in the channel have the right of way. Right? They're like on Jefferson and you're pulling out on a side street. Okay? So the people in the channel have the right of way. Okay. Go through St. Clair Shores and Grosse Pointe. So now everybody should know this, whether the buoys are in or not. 600 foot out in front of the nautical mile is a no wake zone. That is just for everybody's safety. Right? We can't have boats going fast in that area. There's just way too much boat traffic. I always tell everybody, I'm like, I counted there's 15 marinas and a 1 mile linear mile, basically. And the biggest marina there is Jefferson Beach, which I believe has somewhere around 800 wells, right? Imagine if half those boats moved it on one Saturday. You'd have 400 boats moving around a 1 mile linear area, right? So we have to have this safety in place. We have to have this 600 foot rule. Now, sometimes when you go out, you can barely even see the no wake buoys. You just have to know they're there, right? And also, it's really easy because they run along the shoreline to you can be out of the no wake zone and actually drive yourself right back into the no wake zone without even knowing it. you need to have the land and the buoys, the no-wake buoys on the same side. Right? If the land and the no-wake buoys are on the same side, then you can go fast. If you have a buoy on one side and land on the other, you're in the no-wake zone. Okay, so along the no-wake area, gotta go slow. No wake means you can't throw off a wave. No wake. You got a sunken barge right there, right out in front of the nautical mile. Right? Also, if you're gonna go into Ford Cove, it's very, very rocky on both sides of the entry. Again, like Metro Beach, you wanna go straight in. Right? Use the GPS that's on the boat, get the navionics, zoom in, know where you're at, go straight in. Right? Don't cut any corners. Along the, everybody goes to Art Van Bay, right? You hear about Art Van Bay. Art Van Bay is called that because of Art Van's house, right? Years ago, they built this giant house there. It's the biggest house there on Lakeshore there between Ford Cove and the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club. That's kind of like your halfway point between the yacht club and Ford Cove. What I was telling everybody is do not go in toward land between Ford Cove and Art Van Bay or Art Van's house because it's rocky over there. You'll see boats over there, but it's rocky. There's huge rocks over there. So they're just lucky they didn't hit them going in, or maybe they're gonna hit them coming out, but there's big rocks in there. What you wanna do is you wanna go out and you wanna go between Art Van's house and the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club. More where you'll see there's a lot more boats, right? And you wanna go into that area. And that's all, even though it'll say on the chart that there's some rocks there are some rocks there, but they're like way in close to shore. That's where it's nice, hard, packed sand. It's a really nice place to go anchor out. Okay, so you wanna go in that area, but again, stay in waist deep water. Right, and again, go out, get to the point where you wanna go in, and then turn there and go straight in. Okay, and then be careful in Fort Cove. See what else, I think that's it on that side. The dumping grounds. So the dumping grounds are on your way down to Detroit, right? And we have like, this is kind of like, they used to get many years ago, they used to go and they used to throw junk out there. Right, so like old cars, mattresses, stoves, I don't know what's out there. So anyway, it created kind of like a artificial coral reef in that area. It's great fishing. It's a great place to go if you want to catch perch, pike. I don't know about walleye, but we go out there and we go perch fishing. It's a great place to go perch fishing. But you also want to be aware of it because it can be shallow in those areas too. Okay, so you can hit things. Most of the things in that area, like I think the shallowest you see here is like 5 feet, right? But if you're in that area, you gotta be careful. And the red line that goes out past the dumping grounds and then goes up toward the shipping channel, that is your US-Canadian border. Now, you can go to Canada, it's not a problem, you need to have an enhanced driver's license or a passport, and you just call in 1-800-CAN-PASS. When you get there, they have phones there. You just call in, it's not a big hassle, you just tell them you're on a Freedom Boat Club boat, they're gonna want the MC numbers, tell them everybody who's on board has to have an enhanced driver's license or a passport, birth certificates don't work, right? And you can go to, like down at the Puce River, there's a really nice restaurant there called the Sandbar. You can go there for lunch, it's right 20 minutes outside Detroit. Right, great place to go. It's easy. A lot of people haven't been to Canada since like 9/11 because they think it's a big hassle. It's not a big hassle, right? So it's easy to go. They have phones there. You just call. You can actually call in while you're running on your boat. If everybody has like, passports or enhanced driver's license, you can call 1-800-CAN-PASS. But CANPASS, CAN-PASS, and you can call in on your way over. So it's easy to go there. I forget why I was talking about that, but anyway, I know. Because if you go over to Canada and you decide you're gonna go fishing and you didn't call in, now you're in trouble. Right? So you can't swim, you can't fish, you can't anchor without calling in. So be aware that whether you're in the United States or not. Right, when you're going over there, again, the GPS on the boat, the GPS navionics, if you download it on your phone, is gonna help you. All right, in the Detroit River, there's a no-wake zone from the tip of the island to the tip of the island on the Detroit side. So if you're on the Detroit side of Belle Isle and you're in between from the tip of the island to the tip of the island, it takes about 20 minutes to get through. It's all no wake through here, okay? This is where it's important to know which side of the channel you should be on, right, rev return, we talked about. And I go over that with everybody when we do training, and all the captains should make sure that you understand whether you're going against the current or with the current, which side of the buoy you should be on. Because here, we only have red buoys and we only have green buoys. And people see those and they don't know the rule, and they go right down the middle and they run aground, because right in the middle of the river there, it's 1 foot deep. That's what we call Scott's middle ground. And I used to keep my boat down at the DYC for years. I used to sit there and watch these big boats beat themselves. Because they didn't know the rules. So you have to know the rules. It's a little tricky there. Right? Because what really should happen is there should be green ones on the other side here of those red ones, and there should be red ones on the other side of the green ones, but there's not. Coast Guard only has 3 green buoys and 3 red buoys. They put them out, they expect you to know the rules. So it's really important to know the right rev return rule. On the Canadian side of the Detroit River, this is the deepest part of the river here. And this is where the freighters go. And you could go fast through this whole thing. You don't have to slow down at all. Going through it.
Now, going, there, where's the boundary line? Yes,
That's a good question. So you are gonna go into Canada when you're
in the channel.
in the channel. But we're allowed to, actually, we as Americans and recreational boaters are allowed to go into Canada. We're just not allowed to anchor, fish, or go swimming without calling in. We're allowed to pass through. So we're allowed to pass through on our way wherever we're going. We don't have to call in. So, because you have to, you have no choice. I mean, I guess you could go slow on the other side, but you know, they allow us to pass through. So you can actually go over to Canada on the lake and you don't have to call in.
Channel.
Well, no, you don't have to call in as long as you don't stop, anchor,
Oh, stop right.
fish, or go swimming. Because you're technically touching the ground in their eyes. You're touching technically in their country now. That you stopped and you're doing something. Okay, as we head further south down the Detroit River, right now you're getting into Wyandotte and Humbug Marina and some of the Wyandotte restaurants. Now Portofino's doesn't exist anymore, but there's a new place there. I forget what it's called.
I
Probably
believe
find
it's
it online.
Latitudes.
Platitudes? Okay, so I want to go check it out this year. I hear it's pretty good. It's about, say it's at least a 45-minute boat ride from St. Clair Shores. Yeah, down the river to Portofino's, right? Because it's that is Wyandotte.
So what's out from St. Clair then to St. Gallen, 30 minutes.
St. Clair,
Yeah, I remember
St. Clair Shores.
Yeah, when you left from here.
Okay, so St. Clair Shores to Detroit, and you know, every boat's different, right? So let's say if you're running 20, 25 miles per hour, down to, let's say, downtown, you can get downtown in 25, 30 minutes.
that. Oh, okay.
Like downtown proper in front of the Renaissance Lounge.
It's gonna take you longer going.
A little bit longer going the other way because you're going against the current. Yeah, But, usually when I come back, I'll usually go on the Detroit side, go nice and slow, right?
And Detroit on the left, that, coming up on the other side, from Detroit side. Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, keep Detroit on your left, yes. Yeah, otherwise you're on land. Okay. So that's it. That, I don't know if anybody has any questions. We've kind of been asking questions as we go along, but, Taylor, does anybody have any questions online? Well, now would be the time to ask if anybody has any.
Oh, is somebody, are you able to watch this at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah, people are watching it remotely.
Oh, that, I was gonna say, where's all the people? Online.
Yeah, they're online. We have a bunch of people online.
Oh, so that's why, because when it kind of,
Sign up.
you know, I kept saying, you know, and it wouldn't let me do anything. And I think I was pushing the wrong button. You know, because it wouldn't do anything, because I knew it on my phone.
Mm.
It's like things, that maybe on a computer or something like that, that would do it. That's my follow, said, hey, because, okay, so, because I still can't say I'm not.
Right, right. So if anybody wants that Navionics webinar to watch, contact Lainey and I'm sure she'll send you the link. You can watch it.
To this.
Yeah, to the Navionics one. Oh,
And I put it in the comments, I put the 2023 Navionics training and the 2025.
perfect. So the Navionics training, Taylor posted it online during the webinar, so you guys can go watch it. I highly recommend it. It's $50. I think it's cheap insurance. Oh, and also don't forget, you gotta get your boat insurance, and through the club, it's really cheap, because I think I pay more. Taylor and I were talking about that too. I was like, how come I pay more? You get a really good deal on your boat US insurance. So we used to have all the boats were covered. They're not covered anymore. You need to get your own boat US insurance. This is like, I would get the unlimited towing package because it's a minimum of at least $500 to $1,000 just to have them tie up to you, and they haven't even taken them anywhere. So it's really good, cheap insurance we need to have just in case something happens. You run out of gas, you break down, you hit something, right?
What was,
It's boat US insurance. Boat US. I think our members get it for like $100. I think I paid $180, so it's a really good deal.
Now, is it, covers you, not the boat? So it's sort of like.
It covers
it's like-
you,
It's like your trip, if you're on another boat, it's like your AAA type of thing.
yeah, it covers you in any boat you're captaining.
Right. Oh, that's it.
So like if I go out on somebody else's
Yeah,
boat,
it's US. Where's it?
boat US,
Oh, US, yeah.
if I'm on somebody else's boat, I have it. If I'm driving their, like if they're on board, it doesn't cover them. It doesn't cover. If the owner's on board. If the owner's not on board, then it covers. My insurance covers it. So I found that out by accident, right? I was out with somebody on their boat and their boat broke down and I called Boat US and I said, hey, oh, don't worry about it. I got Boat US towing. So they called, when I was calling and I was talking to them, they said the owner on board and I'm like, yeah, they're right here. Right? And they're like, yeah, it doesn't cover it. Right, so just FYI, if you're on somebody's boat, the owner might not be on board. Right? All right. So Taylor, are we done? All right,
Yeah,
did you
thank
close,
you.
did you close it?
I'm gonna end it now, but nobody.
All right. Nobody has any questions? Thank you all for coming.
Karen, I have one quick question. This is Bridget
Appreciate it.
DeWicki.
It's good.
Oh, Bridget, hi Bridget.
Yeah,
How are you?
Good.
Fantastic job. I mean, you did a really good job with this. Do I have your permission that I can put a link to this on my website for our marina?
Sure, I don't know why not.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah,
think
look,
good information.
let me
for
just
everyone.
check with Steve and Freedom Boat Club, but I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's here. Okay, I'll let you know, Bridget. I'll follow up with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Out of Teams.